Howdy YouTube! In case you didn't realize it before you clicked on it, this is the long version of converting a scraper from the winch and cable operation over to hydraulic operation. I have so much footage from doing this conversion, I decided I really want to do some in-depth videos and explaining what I do, and then I'm going to go ahead and make a really short video, hopefully less than 15 minutes, of all these parts put together, just a quick overview of how it all went. So there should be 3 parts to the long series, which should be the front hydraulic mounts, the rear hydraulic mount, and then the machining and the line boring of the wore out roller and stuff on the back. So there should be 3 parts, hopefully. So what I'm saying in my rambling here is let me know if these long versions are even appreciated, or if I should just make all of my videos 15 minutes and just go through it quick and not explain what I'm doing. Let's get on to it. Because, well, I'll show you here. Yeah, am I opening plastic? It's not food, sorry. He thinks that anything plastic is food. Ow! Somebody put a rod there. Ugh. Well, YouTube, I have a new project. I'm going to be converting this thing from the cable drive to hydraulic. And by cable drive, I mean the lift and the dump and all that stuff is cable run, winch and cable run set up on this. So I'm going to be converting to hydraulic. It's a pretty big project. Let me go stand under the hitch real quick just to give you an idea of scale here. Give you a quick tour here. This tire isn't holding air anymore. The other 3 are. Of course, these are the pulleys where the cable's snaked through. It just requires 2 functions to operate this. One lifts the, let's see, how's this work again? Yeah, one lifts the apron here, and that also dumps it. So the apron lift and the dump are the same. And then the other one sets your depth. As you can see, they've chopped off most of the cable already. So that was nice of them. Even comes with a free tree. Right now, this is actually the only thing that's holding this thing off the ground is this chain. Lots of moss. This thing comes from Indiana, so back in where it's wet. This roller in here is in some really seriously sad shape. Needs a lot of TLC, so I got to work on that. That roller goes up. Let's see here. How can I show this to you? Here, let's start clear back here. So this is the cables to run the apron and dump it. And these cables get sucked together by a set of pulleys there. So that set of pulleys, these set of pulleys, they come together. And that pushes this square tubing here forward, which is attached to that pin there, which moves this whole mechanism forward. And that roller goes in there. And that roller goes forward and hits that part right there, and that pushes the floor of the scraper up, so it dumps it. It's kind of like a dump truck. The floor of the scraper actually just goes forward like that and dumps out. It's kind of neat. And then this part of it is what tilts because of that coming forward. So that pulls these cables and that lifts the apron open on the front here. So this part right here, you can see the mechanism there. So that tilts back there and this comes up and the digging edge is back in under there. And then the height, just a cable strung through these pulleys again and again and again and out the front. So that's all that was, just simple snatch block set up there to control the height. So to run the bowl up and down on the scraper so I can figure out what stroke of cylinder I need for it, I was gonna just run the winch from my truck up and over the pulleys. There's no real easy way for me to just be able to get the cable through the pulleys and stuff because I have the hook on the end of my winch line, right? So I decided to just go to town and buy a few feet of cable. I was gonna get 3/8 cable because I knew that was definitely strong enough without question, but they were out of 3/8 cable, so the next size they had actually was 1/4 inch. So this will probably work. I just grabbed 50 foot. It's pretty cheap stuff. It's about, I think his data sheet said it was 6,100 pounds braking strength. So if I run it through the pulleys a few times, surely it'll hold it. There's a lot of weight there, even when it's empty. Gonna try out a new toy here. It's called the Swage It tool. Not that I'm really promoting them specifically or anything, but just letting you know what it is. So let's open this thing up and use it. There we go. I'm gonna go with a decent sized loop on the end of this thing. Now, it's supposed to be to where that crimp was at the end of the swage, not that far in, so I misread the directions there. That's why I'm doing 2 of these, not an instructional video. That one is almost correct. I got just a little bit thick there on the second one, but otherwise that looks really, really good. Happy with that. That middle pulley is not moving at all, so I gotta go work on it. I just kept jogging the winch in and out a little bit, and all the pulleys started working. At least I think so. I can double check the camera footage here to make sure, but it looked like it to me that all of them were going. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. And of course, once they got going, that grease got warm and, you know, became grease again. So worked even better once they got rolling. So, all right. Well, now I can get some measurements going and get some cylinders ordered. It took forever for these cylinders to arrive, and I really don't know why. I guess I'm gonna blame COVID. I don't know what else it is, but if you notice in the last scene of the video, the grass was green, and now it's been almost 3 months later. So we are well into fall. It's actually November right now. And, well, everything's dead outside and the temperatures are significantly cooler. And I'm actually okay with that because for some reason we did not have a fall this year. We actually were having over 100-degree days in October, which I think is unheard of. Normally I love the month of October because it's usually in the 60s and 70s in the afternoons, getting down into freezing, you know, high 20s at night, something like that. October is usually gorgeous. I love that month. But October, like I said, was over 100 degrees this year for some reason. Several days, just unheard of. So yeah, now we're into November and it's finally starting to feel like fall. And getting out here, it's about 18 degrees in the morning, hitting about 55 in the afternoons. Perfect. And then it was just a matter of putting the cylinder about where I want it and trying to get some crude dimensions here and then start putting all this information into the computer. I'm working on the front mounts here. These are the lower mounts, what this hole is actually for on the front cylinder of the scraper. And I thought I'd go ahead and plasma cut it because I thought, well, you know, it's since the pin doesn't move in the piece, it moves in the cylinder, that it would be fine with just that rough edge. But for some reason it cut it at a very, very bad angle. Yeah, I think you can get an idea of how bad of an angle that is, right? I put in a new nozzle, new electrode, so it should have been straight, but that is a horrible angle, both sides. I mean, it's all tilted this way. So my nozzle, for some reason, was cutting that way. It was coming out this direction more. Because this side and this side are straight, but this side and this side both tilt that direction. I think is what I'm going to have to do is just get an 1.5" annular cutter. I can't use an 1.5" in my little mag drill, so I'll have to put it up in the mill and just cut these parts out. All I have to do is scribe them. I'll put the easy scribe in the plasma cutter. So I will scribe an X across there, that way I can mark the center of the hole. I'll probably even go ahead and draw the circle. That way I know where it's supposed to be at, make sure I'm on for sure. So I'll just do a bunch of scribing where these holes are going to go, and I guess I'll have to go get me an 1.5" annular cutter, because I don't have one or something. I mean, I could drill them with 1-inch hole and then go back through my boring bar and go up to 1.5", but I think an 1.5" cutter will be good enough, so I guess I might as well just wait on that to show up. That bird likes the noise of my center punch. I apologize for not having good screen capture software, but I haven't found anything that works like I want it to, so I had all these pieces drawn in this way, and as you can see here, that piece was drawn in this way, and that's my goof up hole. So I turned the piece 180, and yeah, it fits in there no problem, so I won't be wasting any metal that way. Yeah, it fits really good. Well, I'm very excited, YouTube. A couple cutters showed up, 1.5 inches and a 2 1/4. So anyway, I've actually been waiting a little while to get back on these cylinder mounts for these to show up, but they got here really quick. It just felt like forever because, you know, wanting to work on it and waiting on stuff. You know how that goes, right? This is my scribe lines that I used, the easy scriber, and then I center punched them. And then I just used a center drill to make sure I was on that center punch. I've got that number recorded in the DRO over here. So that's where I'm at. And then I've got this corner here set at 2 inches from the edge. I just ended up working out good, so I can miss this radius here. So I can just stick in my next part, 2 inches from the end and drill the next one. So bada bing, bada boom, here we go. There's 2 ways in which you can use these annular cutters in a mill, I've discovered. One is to run them really slow, and of course the other is to run them really fast. So it seems like when you're in the mid-range that it gets a lot of chatter. At least on this milling machine it does for me. So this big a hole and everything, I'm going to choose to run these things really slow. Here we go. And that's still going to chatter. See if it keeps going. Let's see here. Everything tight. Sure it's tight. Yeah, that's really chattered. Okay, well, let's go a little higher. There you go. Behind you gotta go fast. Ah, flaming chips everywhere. This shop is going to be a disaster. It already is anyway. Whee! Alright. Keep on, keep it on. There we go. Nice little slug. Should be hole number 1 out of at least 8. Oh, I should make sure the hole's the right size before I go on to another part, right? So this is the shaft I'm going to be using for the pin. Oh yeah. Just a little bit of play. Yeah, that should be perfect. As is, right there. Awesome. Those 4 done. Came out great. Now it's time for the big plates. Hold them in the mill is going to be something because those plates are just over 66 pounds. And they're long. Stack them up on top of each other, and they align perfectly. So, yes, they're coming out right. Just got one. That's a heck of a thing to lift up there. Well, I am very happy with that. I think it looks awesome. It feels like everything is in line and straight and where it's supposed to be. Looks good. Bottom ones wrap around the front of the square tubing there. I got the idea from the pulley system here. It goes around the back, but I figured with dirt and stuff, you go around the front, and also there's plenty of room. As you can tell, that cylinder leans forward a long ways, so it should not be a problem. And then these come down and around the back. So I really thought this would almost look a little too tall on here, but honestly, it doesn't look too tall at all. Those cylinders look tiny on this scraper now. Whew, and those things are heavy. Wait till we get to the back cylinder though. After I do all the grinding on this thing, it is slick as marbles up here. Man, you gotta make sure you get all the grinding grit off of there, because otherwise you just slide. Whew. Ow. Somebody put a rod there. Ugh. Okay, I am done with all my welding finally. Got a little bit splatter there on that bottom one, but turned up the wire speed just a little bit and got rid of the splatter. Use that second one, hardly any splatter. Had to restart a couple times because some wind gust would come along. I have to grind off that front edge and start over again because it would blow my gas away and ruin my weld. But got them settings dialed in pretty darn good there. Well, they all went good after that, so I'm very happy with that. Interesting thing, on this weld down here, I was actually borderline burning through this tubing here. So I don't know how thick that tubing is, but that's how much heat I had. I was actually, if I slowed up, it would actually fall through, burn clear through it. So definitely getting plenty of penetration. All right, so the next part, I need to make the stops for these pins, which I am just going to use this idea actually. So I need to go in and draw the parts to make these little triangle pieces with holes in them, and I guess that'll probably be the next step. That way I can get these pins bolted in place. I'll probably just put one of those mounts, well, by one I mean a pair. I'll just put it on one side, a bolt on one side, and then this side will just, the pin will just be sticking out here. It won't actually be bolted in. Well, YouTube, it has been a month since I've worked on this scraper, largely because we have been trying to get Christmas orders fulfilled. It was a pretty good year again. Just like last year, I kind of vanished off of YouTube because we have been just running the plasma table and grinding and painting the projects and putting them together just as many hours as we can stand in a day. You know, October, November, and December are just insane for us getting our, projects shipped out to people, fulfilling all the orders. And here's a quick overview of the moon shelves. Just got a few of them hanging here. I am getting back on the scraper today. I've only got today and tomorrow of nice weather. Today is, well, I guess you don't even know that. Today is the day after Christmas. So it's Saturday. It's supposed to get up to like 57 degrees or something absurdly warm. Then come Monday, our high is going to be 28. And Tuesday and Wednesday, we've got a chance of several inches of snow and high winds. So most likely these next 2 days is going to be it for about a week or something, it's looking like. Next thing I'm going to do is fire up the plasma table and cut out these pin keepers, I guess is what I'm calling them. So I'm going to cut out a whole bunch of those, sand them, make them look all clean and pretty, and then I'm going to figure out how to cut my pins and drill holes in them. I'm going to use an old chunk of hydraulic cylinder rod. I really like using this stuff for pins because it's hard. Well, the outside layer is. The inside layer is maybe not quite as hard. So I'm hoping that I can just grind a flat spot through the hard layer on the outside, top and bottom, make dual flats on it, and be able to just drill my hole through the inside softer layer. I'm hoping. We'll see if that works. I have done that in the past and gotten away with it. But otherwise I'm going to have to anneal that end where I put the holes in, which is not a big deal. I just don't want to spend the time annealing right now, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so that worked great. I did grind both sides of the rod to get rid of the hard layer and drilled through it pretty easy. Definitely tough stuff, but they went through no problem. All right, I'm gonna go stick these on. And now it's time to put on the hydraulic hoses. So I'll be up there fiddling around with it. Won't show you much detail, just, you know, little B-roll footage here of me putting some hoses together. Well, now's the moment of truth. Time for me to plug these hoses into my tractor and see if these things go up and down and see if my pins are parallel enough to each other that my cylinders don't like go wonk off this direction and break something, right? going to end this video here. I feel like it's a good stopping point. I do have these mounts that I bought that I'm going to put on these hoses, but I'm going to wait until I get the back end of the scraper done and run those hoses too. That way I don't make some silly mistake by putting one of these mounts for these front hoses in a place that I need the mount for the rear hoses, if that makes sense to you. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if I included too much or didn't include enough, you know, what should I cut out, what should I leave in. Your feedback is what helps me edit my videos better, and hopefully I can produce something that y'all want to watch. Alright, well, this is pretty exciting. So next, we're going to be sticking that huge cylinder in the back of this thing. I'll see you in part 2. January. We got about 7 inches of snow, maybe slightly more. I don't know, it's hard to tell. We didn't get much wind with it, which is really unusual. Normally out here in Kansas, we get lots of wind when it snows, but it's pretty decent. Roads are terrible though. It actually started raining, and there was actually fog before it started snowing, so under all of this snow is a sheet of ice. Just makes life absolutely miserable to get around. But, yeah, anyway, I have no idea when I'm going to get back onto this scraper now. Sure is pretty, though. Oh, look at all the icicles on the garage. Pretty.